My name is Maria Dunnigan. Okay. How can the legislature do, or what can the legislature do to stimulate and promote small business in Nevada?
John Hamburg, there are several things. First of all, avoid any increase in the modified business tax. The last session, small businesses got hit very, very hard. We need to readdress that issue. There are other things in the tax structure. I would like to see a reduction of sales tax. There are those on the other side of the aisle that may, at this time, increase sales tax. And I use $100 as a base. If you're spending $100 in the open market, it's actually $108. If we could take that $8 and put it back into your pocket, you may spend more. So I think we need to look at restructuring the tax structure so the taxpayer can have more money, get out there, spend it, and start reinvigorating the economy. It's a small step, but it's a first step.
Annie Black, I would say offer incentives to businesses that are already in business and to businesses that are looking to get into business. Also, the process of opening a business needs to be easier. The hoops you have to jump through are ridiculous. It's not conducive to attracting new business or opening businesses of people that already have businesses here that want to open other locations or whatnot. Also, I agree with John, stop taxing small businesses. I think people have a hard time understanding that if you lower taxes, you actually make more money. But that's, you know, Reaganomics, it works. So can't argue that.
David Lerner. One of the problems that we have in this state is that the current tax base, the revenue base, is totally faulty. It's really a house of cards when you think about it. It's made up of smoke and mirrors, as is evidenced very clearly in the last legislative session, because some of the budget items are now at risk. So one of the things that I would do to encourage business is so that that a business can plan on what their needs will be in terms of expense in the form of taxation to the state. The way you can accomplish that is to effectively do a long-range type of planning, do long-range types of planning to understand what you need on the revenue side of the equation. And then on the expense side of the equation, make sure you know that every dollar that you've spent has been spent appropriately and effectively. The SAGE Commission has made several suggestions along that line, including an inventory not only of state assets, but I would suggest going further and having an inventory of the way we spend that money, and that would be a SAGE Commission recommendation as far as I'm concerned. But I do believe, as I said before, it starts with a long-term look at our state revenue side of the equation. And lastly, and very importantly, you cannot have a decent revenue source going forward when special interest groups sit down next to a legislator and write the legislation on the taxes that obviously affect his or her own business. So I think that's one of the things that's been plaguing our legislature for a number of years, and that's got to stop.
This is Maria Dunnigan one more time. We hear a lot about tax, the tax reform and how taxes are affecting us. Have all of you signed the Taxpayer Protection Pledge?
John Hamburg, yes.
Annie Black, yes, I actually just signed it. That was the first thing I did when I announced that I was running for office.
I don't believe I've seen it yet, but I will probably sign it when I see it. David Lerner.
My name is Rowena Richards. My name is Rowena Richards. My question to all three of you is, well, crime rate appears to be getting higher, and there's perception out there that it is. It seems that in these tough economic times, people are getting more desperate. Where do you stand in terms of crime prevention?
John Hamburg, that's a very broad question. I think each panelist could probably take 10 or 15 minutes on that, but to keep it short, We need to enforce the laws that are on the books. Many of the individuals that are second, third, fourth repeat offenders need to be in jail and not on the street. We have got to be stricter in our punishment. I realize that doesn't help the population of the prisons, but I'd rather have them there than on the street, going to our families and our friends and our neighbors' homes.
Annie Black, I would have to completely agree with that. We have to be more strict about enforcing our laws and making sure that people aren't breaking laws multiple times and getting out and going and doing them again, because we all know statistically that's what's most likely to happen. So I don't know if that means being more stringent on counseling or whatnot in jail, or how much these people can actually be, you know, reformed, but we definitely got to be stricter on it.
David Lerner. I think we have to go about it in several ways. First of all, my understanding is from Metro that statistically speaking, the crime rate's gone down somewhat. Whether that's true or not, that was something that was posed in the recent interview that I had with them. But I believe, quite frankly, that our problems are isolated in certain areas, in certain groups. And I think part of the problem is that, A, they're not well educated, and that's our fault because we failed in the education process. And secondly, they don't have a means of effectively earning a living for themselves. And I dare say that given the proper education and tools, and again, that would be an educational thing, I think that would make a tremendous difference. But that's not a short-term project. That's a long-term view of solving some of the crimes that exist. I do believe that nothing has ever been accomplished, and this is a historical fact, by hanging or chopping off a person's head. As a matter of fact, it's been proven that the contrary exists, that crime rates go up when public whippings and things of that took place. So I suggest that we do need to enforce our laws, there's no question about that. But I think part of the problem that needs to be addressed is an underlying problem related to how we educate people that are involved and giving them opportunities to change their way of living. I think it's a social problem as well as a law enforcement problem.
Kenneth Wagner. My question is,